Hello and welcome to Unlock Your Life. Guys, I've got a really exciting guest for you today, Jason Cousineau out of the Quad Cities up in Moline, Davenport, Iowa area. This guy has a new take on real estate deals. What he's doing is he's taking commercial assets and instead of leasing them out for $18, $19 a foot, triple net, he's breaking them into salon suites. He's renting these things by the booth to hairstylists, nail salons, etc., where they just need a small space. They're paying a much higher rate per square foot, and he's partnering with people. I think he's got 9 locations under contract or closed right now. He's got 3 up and running. He's doing some exciting things. He reached out to me. I wanted to have him on the show because I personally go to a hairstylist that is in a salon suites. I see that thing packed out. They're collecting massive rents, and so it's interesting to me. So, Jason, welcome to the show. Appreciate you being on here. How you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great, Jennings. And I'm just really grateful to be on and having a conversation with you. And like you were saying here as we were catching up before, I know you get bombarded with quite a few DMs. I'm glad for whatever reason mine caught your eye, and we're here today having a conversation to catch up.
Yeah, man. So tell me a little bit about how you stumbled on this opportunity, how this thing evolved. We were talking offline. You started your first one in 2023. What led you to that? Do you have a real estate background? Like, how's that working?
Yeah, no, good question. So the first commercial property I bought was about 3.5 years ago. It was a 65-door self-storage facility that we were to take down for a pretty attractive price point. The seller carried back our 20% for us, so we were able to get into it really easy. A few short months later, I bought an 18-unit property, and it's interesting, like the first couple wins you have, you kind of get addicted to it really easily. And I'm sure a lot of people can resonate with that, right? And so those 2 properties, they did well. We actually sold the 18 unit and, pocketed about $200K on it. So did well on that one. I still have the self-storage facility, but I used to own and operate a commercial painting and drywall business. And my ex-painting business partner and I, we owned a building downtown Davenport, Iowa. And as part of our buyout, he gave me the building. I knew I wanted to renovate it and do something cool with it. And so my plan originally was to create a shell and then attract a local restaurant or a brewery that could run their business out of the building downtown Iowa. Well, the plans changed really quickly when I brought my architect in to walk the property. And he was in agreement with me. He thought it was a great location for a restaurant. But as we were walking the property, he goes, Hey, Jason, have you ever heard of salon suites before? I think this would be a great model for this building. And honestly, I was like, what the heck are those? Like, I had no idea 3 years ago what salon suites even were. And so once he explained to me that you essentially chop up the building into a lot of small rooms and then you individually plumb each room so that every single suite has water access in it, and told me about all the different users or the people that could rent space inside the building and just how diverse the your avatar is for who your potential renters can be, I really got interested. And so what I did is I started walking into other salon suite facilities in the Quad Cities market, and then I was running some marketing and advertising franchises at the time in Des Moines and in Milwaukee. And when I went up to those markets to run our events, I was also stopping into other salon suite facilities in those markets as well. And what I would do is I would talk with tenants in between customers, and I would just ask them, hey, how long have you been here? What do you like about it? What do you not like about it? What would you do differently if it was yours? And then most importantly, I would always ask them what they were paying a month in rent. Mm-hmm. And then I would look up at the ceiling tiles and I would count across and long and figure out how many square feet they were. And anyways, I just started gathering all this information, right? And so I brought all that information back to the Davenport property. And that Davenport building, it's a 4,000 square foot building. And if I were to have leased it to a restaurant, I would have gotten $12 a square foot gross. So about $50K a year in gross rents. And that same building today does $165K with the salon suites model. And so when I started looking at the numbers and the gross rent potential, it made the decision really pretty simple and pretty easy when I saw that I could 3x the rent revenue in the exact same space by doing a salon suite facility and not building out a shell and leasing it out to a traditional tenant.
Yeah, I mean, that's insane, triple the amount of rent. Now, you may have more costs associated with the salon suites, right? Because these are not triple net leases to each individual person, correct?
That is correct, yeah. And so, I mean, we have to run water into each individual suite. I know some salon suite facilities, to skip on costs, they may create one room and put a bunch of shampoo bowls and even sinks in one room so that they don't have to run the plumbing into each of the individual rooms. But as I've talked to more and more tenants, and even I've heard from tenants and what their clients have said, they much prefer to not have to walk through the entire facility wearing an apron and having water bead down, walking through the hallways, and just be able to get everything taken care of in their suite. And we're able to get a premium because beauty and wellness professionals, they appreciate the amenity of having the water in their room and their clients not having to walk around the facility.
Yeah, give the people what they want. It's just like an apartment complex. If you've got a washer and dryer, that's a lot better than them having to go to a laundromat. But what kind of got me thinking about this is there's this development outside or in Somerville called Nexton, and it's huge master plan, premium real estate. There's the high-end hotels and steakhouses and all that. And they built this brand new, beautiful facility, prime real estate, paid a fortune for just the dirt, and then developed this massive thing. And they turned it into salon suites. And I mean, dude, I don't even know how many suites are in there. Probably like 60. Like, it's big. And each person is paying, I think they're paying $500 or $600 a week to be there. It's crazy how much they're paying to be in this space. And then there's smaller ones that are less. But, to a small business, it's like, okay, well, my rent's $500 or $600 a week, but I'm, selling a few $1,000s worth of product or haircuts or whatever it is. And for them to go out and qualify for a lease and do an upfit and build out a space and do a triple net lease, and now they've got to re-rent to 4 other stylists to make it work. It's just, this is an easy button for them to walk into and get their business open. And there's a lot of people that they want to do this, and it's big business. I mean, my wife's haircut and color is $160 or something, so it's like they're making money. And I like that you're maximizing the space by seeing an opportunity that other people don't, right? Because if everybody's looking at a commercial deal and it can rent for, $20 a square foot, triple net, well, everyone's doing their math on that, and the seller wants a little too much, and you're competing with all these other people who all have the same business model. You're looking at something like, hey, I'm going to get triple the revenue. So maybe I can pay pretty close to what this seller wants to get that prime location. This fits what I'm talking about. And you can make a deal happen where others, they don't see an opportunity there. So go ahead.
Well, I was just going to jump in quick. So in some ways, Jennings, like we do have the ability to pay, what sellers are asking and to be in prime locations, but we honestly prefer not to, because what I've found is we don't need to have locations that are anchored by Starbucks or Target or wherever the A++ area in town is. And the reason that I don't want to be in those areas is because I want my total debt to be as light as possible. And so what I've realized is that there's a lot of smaller office buildings, even like old dentist office and even restaurants, that are still in areas of town where they're getting 20,000 cars driving by a day, but maybe they're like more of a B area and not the A++ area. And so what we've been doing in the Midwest is we normally try to stay around $60 a square foot all in. Sometimes we'll go up to 70 or 80 if it's in a larger market like Milwaukee or Cincinnati. Those are markets that we've just got into and closed loans on, or where we're currently developing. But I always bring up this example, right? And so I've got 2 young girls, and of course we have our family doctor. And so if my family doctor were to move 5 miles or 7 miles from one end of town to the other end of town, would I still take my kids to go see the family doctor if they moved into this building?
Absolutely.
And if the answer is yes, then I would open up a salon suite facility there. And so like the point that I'm trying to make is it's the relationship that our tenants have with their clients that pull them to the building. And as long as there's still a lot of activity and some retail, around the buildings that we're targeting and that we're taking down and buying and renovating into salon suite facilities, we have not had any trouble whatsoever getting the tenants there. And so instead of trying to pay $120 to $150 a square foot, I'm much happier being in a B area of town, keeping my total debt down and just being better at marketing and taking care of my tenants once I get them, and being more at that $60 to $70 a square foot price point. Because the other side of it too is we basically have to go in and demo the entire inside of the building, trench the concrete floor, run plumbing into each of the individual suites, and then build out the inside as well. So you're talking about, $60 to $80 a square foot inside to renovate it. And so all in, I want to be at around 140 to 150. And if I'm paying 150 or 120 a square foot for the building, I mean, you can see how that really starts to stack up to the.
So 60 a square foot is what you want to be on for your purchase, and then 140 to 150 a square foot for the finished product. Is that right?
So when you figure in like soft costs, like an interest reserve, some working capital, those types of things, right? So like hard costs, we're typically around 120 to 130, but then with soft costs, another $10 a square foot ballpark.
Okay, I'm taking notes here. What about?
Now, I also realize that some people may be listening to this and they're like, Jason, like you can't buy anything around in this market for $60 a square foot. Like I totally get that. Like Charleston, Dallas, like areas in Florida, you're not going to get that price point. But the rents are also going to adjust completely. And so like you said, there's some people in Charleston that are paying $500 a week to rent a suite. Well, my standard suite here in the Quad Cities goes for about $175 a week. And so with that, like, your price points adjust. The point being is that I'm not just trying to find the best and most expensive property that's available in the market. I'm trying to buy right to keep the total debt down, which creates even more margin for us as operators and then also for our investors.
Yeah, I see that. And I was very focused on that in the beginning of my real estate career. It was like, okay, I've got to buy value add. I got to get the most, pound per square foot. Like I got to get the best pricing, and because I wanted to be cash flowing and I wanted to be safe. And I see that, as I've matured and dealt with some problems in not as nice of areas, I've dealt with lack of appreciation. I've also seen the flip side where I bought maybe a little bit more expensive property on the front end, but it appreciated far, far better. And that's one thing I wanted to ask you about is how is the bank valuing this income? And as far as like on a resale basis, it's like if you're going to sell that building, let's just say in 5 years, 10 years, if I'm an investor looking at that building,
yep.
I'm kind of going to look at it like, this is a whole other business model to manage with all these tenants and there's a management company. Or are you signing a triple net lease with, or a lease with that, basically I'm trying to say like you're the management of all of the little vendors and then you're paying the landlord directly if you go to sell. Like what is your exit strategy for this real estate? And how is it going to be valued?
Our target is 50 locations in the next 5 years. And like, it's just a number and like, it's a game, right? I mean, I can live off of 3 of these locations or 4 and be more than happy. But it excites me and fires me up to have an opportunity to show what we're doing to other real estate investors and to help them reach their financial goals. Because what I see and what I hear all the time is somebody buys 5 single families and a duplex and a 6-plex, and they go into it thinking that they're going to be able to retire off of that passive income, right? And of course, that's never the case. And so we found that our avatar is really people that are kind of in between the 5 to 50 door range, like avatars for folks that partner with us, see what we're doing in the cash flow that's possible, and then they get really excited. But as far as the exit strategy is concerned, to get back to your question, we want to get to 50 locations within 5 years. And then it's going to open up a lot of options at that time. I think the most likely option is to sell the cash flow, the ops, and the property management, and then the partnership fee structure, the marketing company, to a PE firm, lease the buildings back to them at a 10-year triple net lease, and then be able to exit all the real estate down the road at a low cap rate once you have secured that new lease on the back end.
Gotcha. So you're trying to get an economy of scale with the businesses themselves, sell the businesses, retain the real estate, sign a triple net lease with the person who's buying basically the roll up of the 50 different locations and all the income stream based on that.
Yep.
Okay. So you're really not looking to sell the real estate and have somebody change the use or have somebody take over that business. That's your business and that's going to generate. Okay. So I get it now. If you're listening, hopefully you understand that. And I like it. I think that's probably the highest and best use of the sale of the real estate. So let's break down. You say you've got 3 deals that are stabilized, up and running. Pick out one and let's kind of walk through the numbers. What did you pay for it? What was the rehab? What's the rents? What's the cash flow? All that. Can you just walk us through a specific deal?
Yeah, I mean, we can just talk through the first location. I mean, that's the one that's been open now for just about 2 years. Our location in Moline, Illinois, just opened February of this year. And then our third location, which is down in Galesburg, Illinois, just actually opened a couple months ago. And so we've got 2 locations that are stabilized. And then Galesburg, we've got 7 of the 20 suites that are rented up right now. The nice part is with 1 or 2 more leases, will already be cash flowing. We only have to be at about 40 to 45% occupancy to pay all of our bills.
Okay, so let's walk through. Is the Moline one filled up yet?
We have 8 of the 10 units filled right now.
Okay.
So I consider that stabilized.
How many units is the Davenport?
20.
20. All right, let's walk through the Davenport one. So what did you pay for that?
I got the building given to me. Yeah, so our painting business had paid off the building, but I just collateralized the property to open up a construction line of credit, and we had to put about $510K into it. I mean, the building was built in the late 1800s. It needed a ton of work. We had to re-pour the entire slab inside because it wasn't level. So it was funny. This was the first one that I did, but our framer started inside, and then he realized that the floor just had more pitch than anyone could see because there wasn't like great light inside of the property either. And so we had to rip that out and we had to re-pour the slab. And so there was just a ton of work. There was a lot of masonry tuck pointed that needed to be repaired. It needed a whole new roof. The sewer line had to be torn out and redone, the connection into the city. And so we were well over our normal budget of like 60 to 80 bucks a square foot to renovate inside. But I mean, it was just a really old building. And I mean, I got it handed to me from a previous.
And how many square feet is this building?
4,000 square feet.
Okay. And is that an avatar size, 4,000 to 5,000 square feet? Can they be bigger, smaller?
Yeah. So our average property is somewhere between 5,000 and 6,000, but we do have one property in Milwaukee that we're doing right now that's 12,000 square feet, and we'll have 45 salon suites in that one.
Okay. So if you had to buy that property, what would you have paid for it?
$100K.
Was that bad, huh?
Yeah.
But if you were to pay,
I think truthfully, we bought it with our painting business in 2013, I think, for $65,000.
Okay. So, but going back to your thing, $60 a square foot on the purchase, you would have been paying like $240,000.
Right, but like again, like there was a lot of work that was needed on that property. So I mean, I would not have bought it for that price point.
Gotcha.
Especially needing a whole new brand roof. I think we had to put 60 or 70K into that roof. I can't remember the number. There was a lot. All the parapet walls had to be rebuilt.
So if you had to buy it, you'd be $600,000 to $700,000 into this property.
Sure. Yep.
Okay. So now, what size are the suites? You said you have 20 suites. What are the square footage of the suites?
Yeah. So our single suites are normally in between 100 to 110 square feet. What I didn't do well at our Davenport location is I made our single suites very square. And what I've realized since is it's better to have them a little bit narrower and longer so that there's more room to move around in the suites versus like by having a perfect square, like you're just tighter in the middle. Yeah. So I much prefer to have like 8.5 or 9 foot wide walls and then to stretch it out to 12 feet to kind of get that same 110 square feet.
9 by 12 roughly.
Yeah, something like that.
So you built all new interior walls, put in new lighting, put sinks and faucets in every room. And is there like a common area, or is it just hallways that walk into the different?
Yeah, so there's basically just like a racetrack corridor around the building, and then you have an entry vestibule where everyone's clients wait until their tenant is ready, and then their service provider will come out, get them in the entry area, and then bring them back to their suite.
Okay. And are the interior walls, are they like glass? Like the one that I go to, I think most of the interior walls are glass. Or do you have sheetrock walls?
So we have sheetrock walls, but then we install glass, either really tall, 8-foot high commercial glass doors. Mm-hmm. And in some locations, we offer a glass sliding door. It just depends on ceiling height, number one, and just kind of the general vibe of the space. And then we kind of make a determination which door we want to go with.
So all these offices have windows to the outside, or do you have offices in the center too?
We do have suites in the center. They don't rent for as much. In larger markets, we found that units that are on the perimeter walls that have windows get $50 more a week. And so anytime we take down a building where we know we're going to have exterior suites, we always make penetrations and punch out the walls to put windows in, because we know we're going to get an extra $200 a month for every single one of those units.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. The suite I go to is a lot of glass along the perimeter, because people, they want that. Right. They want to have that view outside, and it makes the suite nicer.
Yeah. Now, and the natural light coming into their room too, it's better for their before and after pictures too. And so when they're posting to social media and they have more natural light coming in, it just looks better in the suite too.
Okay. So what is the gross rent per month for these 20 suites now that you're up and running and filled up?
Yeah, about $13,500 a month.
$13,500 a month.
Yep.
Okay. And what is your?
Go ahead. Sorry.
And what is your expense ratio on that? As far as, and I'd also like to talk about the lease, like what type of leases you have.
Yeah. So we've realized that our expense ratios are typically right around 30 to 31%.
Okay.
And then our debt service on that property is about $4,000 a month. Okay.
So 30 to 31%, that's a huge thing, because, multifamily C-class is typically running 45 to 55. I mean, if you're in Illinois, it's 55 because your taxes are high. So that's a huge bump. And
there's two things that really contribute to that, right? I mean, what you're paying for your real estate taxes and utilities, I mean, whether it's a 5,000 square foot building or a 7,000 square foot building, like they don't change that much. But when you add another 5 suites collecting $1,000 a month on average, like your gross rents go through the roof, which drags down your expense ratio. And then in addition to that, right, every single tenant that you have is working and providing services in their suites. So guess what? They really take care of their space, which drastically helps your maintenance costs.
So yeah, I mean, I'm just doing some quick math. It's like at 70%, that's 113.4 minus your debt service of 48,000. You're got free cash flow of about 65K. And I assume that you're in your expense ratio, you're counting vacancy, delinquency, turnover, et cetera. How is that with the delinquency? And then tell me about the leases with these people.
Yeah, so all of our leases start with a 12-month. And then at the renewal time, we offer them to lock in their rate for the next 3 years at the same rate. Or if they want to renew it for another 12 months, it increases marginally by like 5%.
Okay. And they pay weekly?
So we give them the option. They can either pay weekly or monthly. It's however they want to set it up in their portal.
And do you pull that from their account, or do they actually pay it?
It's an ACH payment.
So they have to pay it.
Yep.
Okay. And how is the delinquency on these type of tenants?
We typically have maybe one a month that we have to chase down, but by the end of the month, it's caught up. Like I don't ever have anything that's outstanding 30 or 60 days delinquent.
Yeah. And I've found that in commercial where, you know, if you lose your business, I mean, you're going under. Like it's like you can be late on your car payment, you can be late on your phone payment, you can even be late on your rent, and you may have 3 or 4 months before doomsday happens. But like if you stop paying on your business, like how are you going to be generating income to get out of this hole? So people typically, they pay that if they can. And I also like the diversification too, right? You think about um, well, I have a dental tenant, right? And it's private equity backed. They got 78 offices. I feel pretty good about the credit worthiness of this tenant, far more so than I would about a hairdresser. But if they stop paying me $11,500 a month, that's my only tenant, right? I'm 100% in the red because I don't have any other like subleases to that. So I can see that. And I also want to make the point to our listeners, I paid 1.9 million for this dental office that's bringing in 11.5. Now, my expense ratio is far less than 31% because that's a triple net lease. I really have only about a 5% expense ratio for like saving for repair reserves, et cetera. So if I take, 11, I think it was like 11.4 times 95%, I'm 10.8 times 12 is 129. He's getting 113 in his NOI. His NOI is 113. My NOI is 130. I paid 1.9 million. He paid 700. So, the ability to generate that value. Now, banks and new buyers, they will actually give me that valuation on my NOI. Whereas they're going to look at the comps of the area and say, well, if it wasn't salon suites, they wouldn't be able to get that rent. So we're not going to give you this crazy valuation. But if he's signing a triple net lease with private equity who says, well, yeah, we can afford to pay $10,000 a month triple net, makes sense to us. And so they're going to do that. So I like that. That's the end buyer. Because I think you got to think about, the cash flow is great. Is that building really worth $2 million? There could be an argument there.
Here's the only thing, and I get what you're saying, right? Because like the bank's always going to look at, okay, like what's the worst case scenario if we have to take this property back? And so like they're going to look at it in comparables, and the appraiser is going to look and find office space and try to find a comparable property the same size in the same area, right? But the argument that I've had and the conversation that I've had with some lenders, it's kind of went like this. And I always ask them, like, Jennings, I'll ask you, do you have a shed in your backyard?
I've got a garage.
Okay. Can that garage trade at a 6 cap in your backyard?
Absolutely not.
No. But if you line up a ton of sheds side by side, can you get them to trade at a 6 cap?
I guess it could.
So like that's the conversation that I've had. So like salon suites, all of these rooms are individually plumbed and they're specialized for beauty and wellness professionals. If I can demonstrate through 26 properties or 49 properties that I'm at 87% occupancy or 92% occupancy, why can't I trade that at a 7 cap, just like you would a shed, just like the exact example that we've talked about in the past? And I know not every lender is going to get on board, but I've been having more conversations recently with some lenders, and they're like, you might be onto something there.
I love that because I looked at 2 deals. One was in Columbia, South Carolina. One was here in Charleston. Both were very similar. Like one was 15 or 16 little suites. Another was 9 or 10 little suites. And they were rented out to just random businesses, little 150 square foot offices. And they got people that are drawing blood. They got people that are doing counseling services. They got people that are, this is the phone center for their electrical company or whatever, just random businesses. And I kind of looked into both of those deals because they were trading fairly low on the revenue that they were creating, 9 or 10 cap. But when I looked at like the issues of delinquency and vacancy and turnover and dealing with all these different businesses and not really knowing the stability or strength of these businesses and having a revolving door of tenants coming, I was like, hey, you know what? I don't want that. But when you're centralizing it into like, this is the industry, there's a ton of people that need this space. They're all doing the same thing. It's perfectly set up for this specific tenant. If one person leaves, another nail salon is going to come right in. Another hairdresser is going to come right in. It's already set up perfectly for them. There's already clientele there. It's in a good location. And I think that you do make a valid point. I wouldn't say it's as strong as, say, like a medical lease or a credit rated tenant lease, but it is definitely stronger than just a cobbled together mom and pop businesses.
Yeah, for sure. Like a bunch of folks, that you'd commonly see at like the farmer's market or a flea market somewhere, right? Or just a bunch of mom and pop business owners renting a bunch of different units. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So you put 500,000 into the rehab. You're tied up for 700 grand, let's just say, and you've got it filled up. Now what? Or how are you paying? If you're partnering with investors and you're raising capital for these deals, like how are they getting paid and how are they getting paid back?
Yeah, no, really good question. I mean, because the model cash flows so well, we've got more than enough margin to pay our investors their 12% return. That's what we offer. We don't offer equity. It's just essentially like debt financing at 12%. But what we do for our investors is because we're not cash flowing during the first 12 months, we include their year one pref payments in our bank debt. And some people have looked at me like I'm crazy to do that. You should just push it off to the refinance event, which we typically do around the 2-year mark, which gives us plenty of time to, design the property, renovate it, fill it up, and then be able to show a bank T6 or T12. But because these things perform so well on the back end, I'm happy to take on a little bit more debt onto the property to make sure that my investors are having a good experience and they're feeling like they're getting, cash or mailbox money, so to speak.
So you're basically over raising to pay the first year of preferred returns.
Yeah, which is it's like an extra $50K on the bank debt, like it's a ballpark, so it's fine. Like when you're cash flowing 3 times the amount of rent that you can in the property, like to me, it's like I'd rather that my investors are having a good experience and they're getting a check at 6 months, 12 months, and then by month 18, the business is open and cash flowing, and there's more than enough to make that payment at that time.
Okay, so you're making the payments, but how do you get them their principal out?
At the 2-year mark, we take the property back to the bank and we refinance them out.
Okay, have you hit that yet with any of your deals?
Not currently yet, but I am currently working on refinancing my first one right now. And
is that the one in Moline or Galesburg or Davenport? Which one is that?
No, it's the one in Davenport, actually.
Okay, so where are you at with that refinance process?
We're having conversations. My CFO right now and I are having conversations with the bank that wants to take on the refi. They also lent us money to do our next 2 locations in Moline and in Galesburg.
So you need to get refi proceeds of what, $600,000 to cash out your investors?
So I don't have any investors in that property. I'm just taking it out for working capital for the suites so that we can keep putting people in seats and grow this thing.
Gotcha. And do you think that you will be able to get that out?
Yeah.
Okay.
We've had good conversations with the lender that and they're completely on board with it. They've seen.
You don't have any debt on that property at all, right?
Well, I do. I have my construction line of credit debt. So like there's still 500 or 4 and change owed on it, 450 or I can't remember the exact number.
Gotcha. So the investors that come into this, how are they secured, right? Because they're coming behind the first bank loan, which is going to be for the purchase and maybe some of the rehab. Probably 70, 75%. Is there 25%? A prom note, second mortgage, what is that?
So we just put them in the subscription agreement of our operating agreement.
Okay, so they're just like pref equity with a 12 pref. Okay, so when you say debt, you're counting them as part of your debt.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, as far as like over raising to pay prefs, I've done that. I've done that on where I could cash out refinance investors within 2 years. We would over raise, start to pay the pref current. And when it worked, it worked. It worked great. Investors loved it. It was good. When it didn't work, it was tough because, you got to call them and say, hey, we've got to turn the pref off until we stabilize or refinance or whatever. And I do think it does add risk to the deal because you're putting more burden on the deal. But if they're not an equity participant as well, I don't know that it really harms the investor. I have to think that through a little bit because if they're an equity investor, it's kind of like I've had other colleagues who have run out of cash to pay the pref current and they're still not stabilized. So they go out and raise another share. And as they raise another share, they put more burden on the the deal. They put more debt on the deal. They cut into the profitability of the deal, which everyone's an equity participant in the deal. So it really just hurts the investors instead of having a hard conversation saying, look, we need to stack cash. We need to get this thing stabilized. We can't pay the pref current. We will get you out. We'll get your money out. We'll get you your pref. But if they're strictly debt, I could see that as really not as big of an issue, especially if the model cash flows. The only hiccup I would see is a little bit more social proof on the refi event. Like how is that actually going to go?
Correct. Yeah. No, and I've been open and keeping an open discourse with a couple of different banks that are interested in working with me and developing a relationship. But once I'm able to get over that hump and show proof of concept with there, which I know I will be able to. And there's a lot of different levers that I can pull as well, right? So we're just looking at the real estate valuation, but there's essentially a business running within the real estate as well. And so we're also looking at different ways where we can maybe separate the two and kind of maybe use one to pull debt out to repay back investors as well. So there's a few different options that we're looking at exploring right now.
Okay, I can see this working right there in Moline and Davenport where you are, and you got your eye on the ball. You got your first 3 done. You got the renovations done. You're working closely with the marketing company. You're getting these leases sold. Talk to me, though, about doing one multiple states away from you. And you've got 9 going right now. How are you managing that? Because for someone like me, once I got beyond about 5 or 6 multifamily and grew to like 13, 14 properties, it was very difficult for me to keep all of those plates in the air. Third-party management started suffering. Contractors started ripping me off because I just was far-flung and I didn't have that local presence there. I'm not saying you had to be local, but how are you overcoming that challenge?
Yeah, really good question. So number one, we have property management in-house. And so we have our own property management company at the Suites. Christina, she's been an assistant of mine now for about 12 years. So she used to work with us in our marketing and advertising business where we had about 130 different vendors. And so it was her job to make sure that they were happy, send monthly emails, check in with them, address any concerns. And she's largely doing a lot of the same work right now with all of our current tenants. And so that's going well. And then really what gave me the confidence to expand the Suites and to jump into other markets is by partnering with other seasoned real estate investors. They kind of act as our boots on the ground and as our site superintendent. And then I act as a construction manager. And so once a week with all of my partners, we jump on a 1-to-1 call. We review our budgets, timelines, contractors, where they're at, address any issues. And it's
your local partner is in charge of the rehab?
Yeah. So they do a weekly site meeting with all the trades on site, do walkthroughs. They send in videos and pictures to keep me updated. And then once a week, we jump on a 1-to-1 call to talk through the progress of the past week and to address any issues that are going on site.
Now, who is hiring these vendors? Or are you hiring a GC to do the rehab, or are you hiring the trades directly and doing it?
So we've got our own construction company too. So we self-GC the projects.
Oh.
So, yeah. So I used to run a commercial painting and drywall company, and I used to own and operate that for 14 years. So it's my background. I mean, my dad's a senior site superintendent with one of the largest general contracting companies in the United States, PCL. They're not really here in the Midwest all that much. They are up in the Twin Cities, but I mean, I've been on job sites my whole life. My dad was the lead site super. They built where the Ottawa Senators play hockey right now. And so I was running around that job site as a kid. It was the coolest thing ever, of course, being from Canada, being in that barn before it opened up. So, yeah, just with my experience and background, it comes very natural for me to be putting together budgets, talking with contractors, selecting contractors, knowing how the process works.
So let me understand this better, because this is really, really critical to me. I love the construction background. I think that is very underrated. People don't realize how integrated that is in owning real estate. But so let's just say I find you a 5,000 square foot building in Somerville. And I'm like, and you're like, oh yeah, this is a perfect location. We got a good price. We can take this deal down, and we do. Are you sending your crews down to do the rehab? Are you hiring local crews here? Like how is that working?
Yeah, we're hiring local crews in the market.
But you're the GC. You're the one that's bidding out the job, writing the scopes of work, handling the invoicing, and me as a local partner, I'm just going on site every week to make sure that they're doing what they say they're going to do.
Correct. And working with the scheduling, making sure they're showing up on time. My local partner, with my help, are also responsible for the draw schedule as well, working with the title company, the bank, myself, to make sure that we're getting draws in on a timely manner, getting certificates of insurance, lien waivers, all that stuff.
So the local partner, they've already got 50, 60 units. They've got experience in real estate, and they are pretty involved in this deal. And they've got half their investors' money in the deal as well. So they're kind of incentive aligned to make this deal happen.
Correct. Yeah. And every single one of my partners, like their goal isn't to do just one, is to do 3 or 4 locations in the market where they live, if the market will support it. And if not, like I've got one partner that's a little bit south of me here, and he's willing to drive an hour one way or an hour the other way to open up multiple locations.
But it's going to be pretty involved for that partner for the first year to 2 years to get that rehab done and get it filled up.
Correct. Yes.
And once it's filled up, though, you're handling the ongoing asset management and collections, and who handles the lease up?
The marketing, it's both us and then also the local partner. And so I've got a marketing team, marketing officer, and then 2 VAs that help us drum up interest in the market, and then myself as well. We attract most of our folks by, I call it digital door knocking. And so 4 months before we open up our local pages, and then every single day we like or comment on 30 beauty and wellness professionals pages every single day. That kind of gets our name and brand recognition out. And then when they start responding to us, we'll send them a DM and just say, hey, we're going to be opening up in XYZ. If there's anything we can do to help out, let us know. And so that ends up building a pretty large wait list. And then we can call through that Rolodex of people and reach out. We also have a data guy. I'm not sure. Are you familiar with SIC codes?
Yes.
Okay, so like I've got a data guy. We can skip trace all the beauty and wellness SIC codes per zip code. And then that also affords us a list of all the registered people that are working in the beauty and wellness industry in the markets where we're operating. And then my VA team goes and finds all their cell phones and emails. We add them to a drip marketing campaign as well before we open up. And so the marketing piece is really dialed in. We found we've had a lot of really good success getting our properties leased up pretty well and quickly. But we take care of all the marketing in-house, all the property management. The biggest heavy lift for the local partner is the construction process. And then essentially our VA team, as we're scheduling walkthroughs, will get the Calendly link, or if it's another booking app, from the local partner to show their availability. And then our VA just basically will throw the walk-ins or the private tours on that local partner's calendar. And then the local partner meets the tenant there, the potential tenant there, to do the walkthrough and give them a tour of the facility, and then get them an application if they're interested.
And we were talking offline before we started, but that is a 50-50 split, 50% to Jason and his team, 50% to the local partner, and that's after the pref is paid to the investor. And I assume at the eventual exit, it would be like that partner would participate in the exit?
Yep.
Okay, so they'd get 50% of the sale of the business and 50% of the real estate proceeds, if any, or whatever that's going to be. So what could this look like for somebody to do a deal, as far as like cash flow, eventual exit, et cetera? Because I do see on the exit, they're going to do a lot better being one of 50 than being one of one, on that sale.
100%. You're going to get a much higher multiple. Instead of getting like a 2 or 3x, you can get a 7 to 10 potentially. But our average facility is 5,000 to 6,000 square feet, and our average facility has about 25 salon suites in it. Depending on the market, 25 salon suites, your gross rents potential is going to be somewhere between 25 to 30K a month. After your expenses and debt service, that property will cash flow at 90 to 95% occupancy, about 12.5 to 16 to 17 a month.
Okay, so that would pencil out to 6,000 to 8,000 for each partner.
Correct. Yeah, and then you would do that, 2, 3, or 4 times, and over the course of 3 or 4 years, just doing one property a year, I mean, you could have 3 locations open after 3 years. Pretty simply, just throw on a 4th year just to be conservative. And, that local partner is now making, a semi-passive, a very semi-passive.
What would you project the business value of like one location with 25 spots? What do you think the sale value of that location would be without the real estate?
Without the real estate? Yeah, I mean, I haven't broken it down that way. I mean, I've played with ChatGPT quite a bit.
So say let's with the real estate then.
Yeah, I mean, our average facility is probably about 2.5 to 3.
And then your cost basis is what, 1 to 1.5?
Basically, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's exciting, man. And, I do like also the recession resistance of, it's like hair is going to grow. Women are going to get their nails done.
I mean, I don't think robots are going to be cutting hair and doing massages or nails anytime soon either. I mean, maybe in 20 years, but certainly not in the next 5 to 10.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Jason, if people want to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to contact you, either to invest in something like this or to partner with you potentially?
Yeah, I think the easiest way is just to research me up online on social media. So you can just search my name, Jason Cousineau. You can also send me an email it's jason@thesuitesco.com. So it's TheSuitesco.com.
And guys, if you want to Google him or find him, it's like Jason Cousin and then EAU. Cousin EAU is how he spells his last name. Jason Cousineau.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Jason, I appreciate you, man. This has been super interesting. I've definitely learned a lot, and it sounds like you've got a really exciting thing going on. I really like how it's so closely tied to real estate, because even if the whole thing goes to hell, you still have real estate, which is going to be worth something to protect your investors and protect yourself. So, all right, guys. Well, if you've enjoyed this episode, shoot me a message, reach out to me, reach out to Jason, and I can connect you, and we'll talk soon. But thanks a lot, Jason. I appreciate it, man.
No, dude, it was a blast being on with you, Jennings. Really appreciate it. Keep up all the good work you're doing, man.
All righty.